This is a severe weather alert from your Arklama's Storm Team.
All right, good evening, everyone. The time is just past now 9:30. I'm meteorologist Lexi Birmingham. And of course, joined with me is Chief Meteorologist Jared Floyd and Meteorologist Brian Briggs. We were kind of talking about the last time we were on air about that severe thunderstorm warning in Ouachita County, but now it looks like they have issued a new tornado warning, including, can you read off that warning for me, Brian, if you can? It's on the second computer, if you don't mind. For which counties is it?
Oh, it's portions of Calhoun County and Bradley County.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So here's Calhoun, and then there's Bradley. Okay. And this warning goes until 10:15. Again, we were watching this storm off towards.
Oh, I'll get hand tracker up for you in just a second.
Yeah, so this was the same severe thunderstorm warning that was in Ouachita County around the Camden area that was producing that heavier rainfall and maybe even that hail potential. And we were kind of watching a little bit of an area of interest of some kind of indication or something. But the National Weather Service in Little Rock hadn't issued anything just yet. So now they have issued that tornado warning. Again, this goes until 10:15. So let's go ahead and pull up a little bit of some radar products here. We'll put up Little Rock and we'll pull up the storm relative velocity. You can kind of see those reds and those greens kind of mixing together once again. And it's this area right here that I'm talking about. You can see that reds and greens there. Looks like it is just around. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, and then I'll go ahead and zoom in just a little bit closer to see what we are dealing with here. So this is around the Hampton and Harrell area. Also zooming in just a little bit closer. It looks like Highway 276, I believe. 276?
278.
278. So that's Highway 278, and you have Harrell and Hampton all included in this tornado warning. So again, if you live in those areas, make sure that you get to your place of safety, an interior room, a bathroom with no windows, or interior closet. Make sure you grab pillows and blankets. Of course, don't forget about your pets, and of course, don't forget to maybe grab a helmet as well. Again, this is just radar indicated. It is not confirmed, but again, you can kind of see those reds and those greens kind of mixing together. So we were kind of seeing this a little bit when it was just a severe thunderstorm warning, but it looks like now that they have issued that tornado warning for those areas. Switching over to Shear real quick. You can kind of see some of those light greens and indicating some of those stronger winds. Yeah, definitely damaging winds here. So maybe I'd say 70 miles per hour would probably be the wind speed that could possibly come out of this severe thunderstorm, but either way. So storm relative velocity, again, is that red and green area that I'm kind of circling right here that has piqued the interest of the National Weather Service in Little Rock. Pulling up reflectivity, this is why we don't want you to be outdoors anytime soon. Look at this pocket of heavier rainfall, and of course that purple area, which may be a mix of rain or maybe even some hail, but you can kind of see that heavier rainfall there. So either way, you're not going to be able to see anything, and not to mention too, it is getting a little bit dark out there as well. So again, this is a tornado warning that goes until 10:15 for Calhoun and Bradley counties. You can see it includes the Hampton area, the Harrell area, and Highway 278. It does not include the area of Warren, just downwind here. See, zoom out a little bit, you can see it does not include Warren. So Warren is outside of the warning box, but either way, it is downwind, so folks in Warren may want to pay attention just in case. But it's this little box here. So again, there's these two areas here that we have a tornado warning for. And then, of course, you can see that flashing yellow box also on a severe thunderstorm warning. But at this point, for the Hampton and Harrell areas, that tornado warning is going to take priority.
Obviously, also in these areas, these are similar areas that were impacted by tornado warnings earlier, and the Hampton and Harrell areas, and then over toward Warren. And a lot of these areas were not in that previous tornado warning, a storm that is still capable of producing a tornado as it's now crossing the Mississippi River. But these are areas that have been under warnings at times today. As you see the area that Lexi's circling north of 278. But you folks have kind of been through this drill, so to speak, today. Like I said, the safest portion of your home is interior portion, away from windows and doors. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Think of an interior hallway or closet or bathroom. And like I said, just go there. Wait for the all clear to sound in your area. Now, the storms that are back out to the west and the southwest that were tornadic earlier are nowhere near as intense as they were. And in fact, this is really our primary focus focus in terms of storm development right now, and I would expect this to climb out of our viewing area probably in the next half hour or so, but clearly still you can see the latest refresh there on the northern end. Still a broad rotation, but either way, damaging wind signature possible with this storm.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you're just now tuning in, the time is now just coming up on 9:40. We did have a tornado warning issued for Calhoun and Bradley counties. Again, that goes until 10:15. You can see Camden is outside both of these boxes. So Camden, you guys are in the clear, but it did include Highway 278. Warren is just right along that polygon box that you see there. So it is going to be downwind. So either way, folks in Warren, just make sure that you are paying attention. This storm is moving off towards the north and the east and the northeast. So it may brush by your area, but again, this is a very broad area of rotation. You can notice that's not looking as tight as what we did see with maybe the tornado warning early on in Bradley and Drew counties. But either way, there is something that really piqued the interest of the National Weather Service in Little Rock, hence why they did issue that tornado warning. Pulling up reflectivity once again, just make sure that you are indoors. Just take a look at this swath or this plethora of very heavy rainfall accumulated
and
here.
Almost continuous lightning to go along with it, Lexi.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do know that folks in Camden are still under that flash flood warning, and very reasonably so, because you guys just got through this really large batch of heavy rainfall not too long ago. But either way, it's dark outside and you see a lot of heavy rainfall right now, so you're not going to be able to see anything. So it really makes for a dangerous situation. So again, just stay in your safe place until you're given the all clear. Again, this tornado warning will continue until 10:15, so about another 30 to 35 minutes.
All right, thank you, Lexi. She was saying a new tornado warning has been issued. If you're just now joining us, one of the same areas, similar areas that we've been seeing these tornado warnings tracking through here. You can see for portions of Calhoun and Bradley counties, once again, under this new tornado warning that goes through 10:15 tonight. And a little bit south, though, considering or compared to what we were seeing earlier here. But let's pull up the velocity scan on this, and you can see, again, the areas where the reds and the greens are coming together. This is where we're looking at here, as it's a little bit elevated, but Little Rock was saying that the storm is exhibiting features that make it possible to produce a tornado at any time. So that's why they went through and decided to issue that warning on it. It's also, we're getting our shear button here is showing that we do have some strong winds, mainly north of, I believe that's Highway 278. Again, north of Hampton and the Harrell communities, and Highway 278, that's where the warning is. So again, this is where we're seeing the concentrated heavier winds, at least in the possible tornado with this storm, as it continues to trek close to Warren. That's one of the higher population areas here. As you can see, they're just outside the warning box. So if you know folks that are in Bradley County, Warren community, these folks need to be getting into your tornado safe place as soon as possible here, as you've got plenty of time to do that. Dangerous storm is nonetheless, and you can see that, again, whatever happens is rain-wrapped. Rain-wrapped, there's likely some hail going on with this as well, so you can see it's a messy storm system here as it continues to push eastward, and it's dark now, so you're not going to be able to see anything. Well, there's a lot of lightning and thunder going on, but again, it's just not enough consistently to really see anything, and even if it was daytime, that rain and possible hail, too, that's falling with this system is just not going to make anything visible. So dangerous storm, you need to be getting into your tornado safe place immediately, especially if you're in eastern portions of Calhoun County and western portions of Bradley County, especially northwestern portions. So again, this is our only active tornado warning that we have across our area, is in effect until 10:15 tonight. So again, this is not the only tornado warning that we've had in this area. This area's had multiple, and with the ingredients that we've had in play today, it's not surprising to see multiple tornado warnings.
Yeah, so in general, the overall thunderstorm activity has continued to kind of trend downward in its overall organization outside of this one storm in southern Arkansas. And that's really been the area, the action area, so to speak, through the course of the day, at least in our viewing area. As you move back into eastern sections of Texas, it's been a very active afternoon for folks in Carthage. A storm that that we were on the air for earlier in Bienville Parish, or was approaching Bienville Parish. In fact, those are the remnants of that storm, but was moving eastward and had a history of producing a tornado and then just kind of fell apart. And a lot of these other storms are also starting to kind of get undercut or get at least picked up by the cold front. And so you're starting to see more of a linear motion or linear shape of these storms as they start to kind of glob together and the front starting to kind of guide them eastward. And really, that is expected to really evolve this overall threat into more of a damaging wind potential as we work later into the night. But also, as Brian mentioned earlier and Lexi mentioned earlier, the atmosphere is starting to cool and stabilize, and the environment will become less favorable for severe weather potential as we work deeper into the night. So still got to stay weather aware, especially for those that are under watches and such. The tornado watch that remains in effect for portions of southeastern Arkansas until 4 a.m. So, and far northeastern Louisiana until 4 a.m. So if you're in those areas, there's actually 2 areas of rotation now entering western sections of Bradley County, and I'll draw them out for you here, but these are both generally, one's north of Highway 278, one's kind of along and south of 278, and of course I messed that up, but generally in these areas here, I'll circle this a little bit better this time. We'll start here. And there's one here, and then there's another one here. They're both generally moving east, but also when you kind of switch the radar mode for a second and go into our reflectivities mode, the traditional radar that you're normally used to seeing on a day-to-day basis, and I'm going to go ahead and leave those circles drawn, because when we switch over to reflectivities, you kind of also see that one of these is in a much more favorable area. This is probably kind of some feedback. This looks to be the main circulation of the storm, probably the more concerning part of this storm as it moves east. Again, shear swaths, you do kind of pick it up on the tail end. So there are some gusty wind signatures on the south edge of this storm. The more concentrated, strongest winds are on the northern edge of the polygon as it continues to move east. The warning, as I mentioned, goes till 10:15. So this is still a storm that is going to bring some heavy rainfall also in these areas, and I don't believe we have them on the screen, but there's a lot of flash flood warnings kind of popping up across southern Arkansas because these storms have just moved over the same areas repeatedly. So the heavy rainfall is going to become more of a hazard. So obviously for folks that maybe get stuck on the road, maybe on 278, and you get stuck on the road and you have to try to outrun a tornado or drive quickly to find shelter, what if you come across a flooded roadway? So that's another reason why you just don't want to be outside right now, especially as you move into the late night hours. Continuous lightning will make it difficult to drive in these areas. You just don't want to be outside. So like I said, urge caution for those across southern Arkansas. Back into the southwest, we will keep an eye on this storm that's moving into northern Caddo and Bossier parishes. Little Rock radar doesn't really show much from it, but the Shreveport radar shows a little bit more organized. And this storm in general should continue to move to the north and east toward the Warren community. So if you're in Warren along Highway 63, and a lot of these areas, you're not in the warning itself, but you want to keep an eye on the damaging wind potential. For folks in Warren, you're probably getting some lightning and you're hearing some thunder in the distance, and maybe hearing the rain or a little bit of light rain at this point. But if you're in the Warren community, I don't know if Warren's technically in the warning or not, but obviously
just outside.
Want to keep an eye on this storm as it approaches these areas here in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Got plenty of lead time, so there's really no reason for you to not be in your safe place. It's getting late at night anyway, and like I said, I think the best idea right now is just be where you are and be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were kind of keeping an eye on this storm when it was in Ouachita County, but it was still a severe thunderstorm warning. They didn't really see any need to issue a tornado warning, but then they really started to see just a little bit of tightening with the circulation, so that's why they decided to issue it for Calhoun and Bradley counties. And again, if you're just now tuning in, we're coming up on about 9:49 on Saturday evening, and again, this tornado warning continues until 10:15. 10:15. So we have about another 15 minutes with this warning, unless they decide to issue a downwind, but of course that can change. So again, like Jared was mentioning, just take a look at the reflectivity here. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see anything. There's a lot of heavy rain going on right now, and the way you can tell is by these yellows and especially these reds and oranges that you do see on your screen. That's where the most heaviest rainfall is going to be accumulating, whereas more off towards the west, you can see those like little greener and yellower colors. That's indicating a little bit more some lighter to more moderate rainfall. But either way, we're watching this warning right now. Again, it continues until 10:15. Let's go ahead and pull up a little bit of some of our radar products here. Again, this warning continues until 10:15 if you are just now tuning in with us. Let's go ahead and pull up the storm relative velocity here. And yeah, we're kind of seeing a little bit more of a mixture of those reds and greens on your screen there. If we can zoom in just a little bit. I think it's this area right here.
Yeah, and the shear product out of Little Rock kind of pinpoints that area that you're pointing at, too.
Right,
it's the northern edge of that warning.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep the circle. We'll go ahead and switch to the shear.
And while you're switching products real quick, and you're pointing that out, Lexi, you're talking about Bradley County Road 245 and points southward. The Banks New Edinburgh Road, the Weeks Community, Hopewell Road. These are a lot of the roads that we were mentioning earlier. Lacey Hill roads on the bottom right-hand side of your screen in the Wagnon community. If you're in these areas, this is a very concerning storm. You guys are on the outer fringes of the Arklamis, just on the northernmost edge of our viewing area, but just need y'all to know what's going on in that area. The Wagnon community, again, Bradley County Road 245 and points southward, east of the Banks.
Just located west of Weeks.
Yes, yeah. So that's the area that we're watching. Again, possible tornado approaching these locations, and again, it's going to be shrouded in rainfall. We're going to be impossible to see. No point in trying to take pictures or anything like that.
Yeah, just quickly switching to reflectivity. Yeah, this is what the reflectivity looks like right now for this area where we were just showing the shear markers. It's most likely going to be very blind if you're trying to look outside. So yeah, this is the emphasis why we don't, we really emphasize on making sure that you just stay indoors, because again, you're not going to be able to see anything, and anything that becomes rain wrapped is a very dangerous hazard. So please stay indoors if you can. Switching back to the shear, again, shear is just how the winds change at the different levels of the atmosphere as you go further up. So again, those lighter greens and that red color is indicating some some stronger winds. Just got a little bit of a refresher on the radar here. It looks like that little red has gone just a little bit, but you can still kind of see some of that light green indicating some very strong winds, maybe 70 miles per hour at the most. So again, this is including in there's the Wagnon area, and Weeks is just downwind of this shear, but Weeks is still included in that tornado warning. So that's what we're watching right now. Switching back to storm relative velocity, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. I'm also going to zoom out too. It's a little bit close up, but you can still see that's an area of concern here. We do see some of those greens and reds kind of mixing together at this point.
This warning,
right here.
I was going to say, this warning may scoot out of its polygon, may need a new warning soon. And technically,
if it's right on the edge,
and technically, if it scoots out of our area, then out of that polygon, it would actually move out of our viewing area in the same breath. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like I said, for folks in far northern Bradley County, this is going to be right along the county line. So if you're in those areas, be safe.
Yeah, and it was included just to the north of 278, too. It looks like now they have trimmed back the warning just a little bit. So Hampton, you guys are in the clear. You're outside of the warning now, but the Harrell area is still in it, including areas on 278. So stay in your safe places for now. Again, Warren is just outside of this warning. And again, this is something we'll continue to watch. Again, like we mentioned, this area of interest is most likely going just to the north and outside of the polygon. So they may need to readjust it. But until then, we're going to stay on the air until we are given that notification. But again, just for the folks in Warren, you guys are just right on the edge of that warning here. So you guys still have plenty of time to put your weather plan, your weather safety plan into motion. Again, a tornado safety place, interior room with no windows or bathroom with no windows. Make sure you grab pillows and blankets, maybe even helmets, and of course, don't forget about your pets. And of course, Don't depend on tornado sirens to tell you what to do. You need to be taking cover now, because usually by the time tornado sirens go off, it's maybe a little bit too late. But either way, this is just radar indicated. This is not a confirmed tornado, but you still need to act upon it. So again, if you're just now tuning in with us, we're about 7 minutes out from 10 o'clock. Again, this warning has been issued until 10:15 for Calhoun and Bradley counties. A few of the areas that are included in this warning, they also trimmed back that severe thunderstorm warning as well. Hampton was included earlier, but now they're outside the polygon. Harrell is still in there along with the Wagner area and Weeks. And again, Warren, you're just on the outside of that. But again, the storm is moving to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So just continue to make sure that you are planning out ahead, because this storm could move downwind into your area.
Yeah, and what Lexi said, it's moving quickly towards the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So that's kind of what we've been talking about with this parent storm system, is that the area of rotation, it's moving it quickly, and it's pretty much almost outside of the actual warning area here. But again, dangerous storm nonetheless. You're seeing where those greens and those reds really close to each other here on the extreme northern edges of Bradley County, pretty much right on the county line there. You saw with that latest update that things really haven't changed too much. It's still showing that very defined velocity couplet here. So again, I'm going to circle it. You can see what we're looking at here. Let's see. This area of rotation right here is where the greens and the reds, here, let's redo that. The areas of rotation that we're watching here mainly is this area here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer here. We can pick up where some of these areas are. Again, it's mainly primarily in rural areas of Bradley County, and not really crossing any major highways, at least at this time. But again, you can see
north of Old Camden Road and west of Hopewell Road in northern Bradley County there, Brian.
So yeah,
they've trimmed it a little bit too.
Yeah, they just trimmed it back a little bit. So the warning keeps getting smaller and smaller. But as we were kind of talking about, this area of rotation right here, it's almost out of our viewing area. So again, we're about 5 minutes to 10 here. Only active tornado warning in our area is this storm right here. In addition to that, there's also likely some damaging winds going on. We can pull up the shear button here and kind of see what we're looking at least right now. We're looking at storm relative velocity, but you can see that's where our highest shear is starting to kind of be coinciding with this area of rotation that we've had across our area. And again, it's going to be pushing north of our area here in the not too distant future. So again, at the very least, we do have that potential for a tornado to form at any point. We also have the potential for damaging straight line winds close to 70, maybe even 80 miles per hour with some of these storms. So again, nonetheless, a lot of strong winds coming into Bradley County, even south of the warning here. So you can see we just got another refresh. So this is shear. Again, this is indicative of strong winds, whether it's from the potential from damaging straight line winds or even from a possible tornado. But nonetheless, impressive signatures on here as the storm continues to push north. So again, you can really see where those reds and those greens touching each other right there. That's where the possible tornado is. It's pretty much right on the Bradley County line with, I believe, Cleveland County up towards the north, which that one's out of our area. So again, if you know people in this area, tell them to get in their tornado safe place immediately. Dangerous storm nonetheless. As you can see, even though we have a velocity couplet here, it is wrapped in rain, possibly hail too. So strong storms nonetheless. To kind of give you an idea, there's the Warren community right towards the south and east of this parent storm. So these folks will likely miss it as it continues to push off towards the north here. But strong storm nonetheless, and the tornado warning is set to at least continue till 10:15, this one here. But I would not be surprised to see a new warning, considering that it has now outgrown the original box. And with that being said, yeah, I saw the new one. So this is a much larger warning. Now this includes Drew County. A little bit.
It goes till 10:45.
Okay, this one goes till 10:45 tonight. So again, it covers a little bit more area, but going to be once again scraping the northern areas of Drew County here. It's briefly going to kind of waffle in and out of our viewing area, as typically this county, Cleveland County, north of us is not in our viewing area. But Bradley County and Drew County are, so it's going to be kind of waffling. And again, this highway right here, I believe that's 63.
Yep, that's 63.
If you know,
the one that's also included is 425.
Okay, so highways 63, 425. If you know folks traveling along these highways, let them know that yet another dangerous storm is approaching your area here. And you can see, let's highlight that specific area of rotation. Again, just towards the southwest of Highway 63 in Cleveland County, but eventually it'll be rolling into northern portions of Drew County here. So this new warning that you're seeing includes a little bit more of the area, as possibly could have a little bit more rotation off towards the south too. We were kind of highlighting this little area here. So in addition, damaging winds will be a possibility with this storm system as it continues to push north. But this new warning now officially does include Monticello. It includes the Wilmar communities, the Warren communities. Again, folks from Warren to Wilmar to Monticello, you need to be in your tornado safe place. Remember, that's a low interior room, a sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And grab a helmet. Make sure everybody's safe and you are staying up to date with the information that we're trying to get out to you. So again, we're coming up on the 10 o'clock hour here, and right now technically we have 2 tornado warnings. This one is set to expire soon. It outran the original one, so the National Weather Service went ahead and issued a brand new warning to account for more of that, and you can see it counts for more of Bradley County and northern portions of Drew County. So this does include Monticello. This includes Wilmar, Warren, and folks driving from Highway 63 to 425 and everybody in between. So if you're getting your tornado warnings right now on your phone, however you're getting your warnings, make sure if you're included in that box, you are taking shelter, as this is a dangerous storm. Possible tornado again is now entering into portions of Cleveland County, and this is where it's technically now outside of our area, but it's still expected to work its way towards the north and east, and eventually it will be running into northern portions of Drew County once again. But that being said, there's also maybe possibly another area of circulation to the southwest of Warren now, as that warning box has been shifted a little bit further south. So this is what we're talking about here as far as this new area. You can see those reds and greens once again lining up just to the southwest of Warren. So again, treat this as if a tornado is possible. Again, damaging straight line winds are probably likely with this storm, and lots of lightning, thunder, rain, hail. You're not going to see whatever develops. So this is not the time to get out and to take pictures, but just to make sure you're getting into your safe place as the storm passes through. So I'm going to show you this again on regular reflectivity, and again, possible another couplet just to the southwest of Warren. We can kind of see a little bit more of a hook showing up on our classic reflectivity here, and then we have that other circulation that is very much wrapped in rain. But yeah, you zoom out a little bit more, and it's trying to take on that supercellular structure once again. It's able to feed in a little bit more warmer air. So again, everybody from Warren to Wilmar to Monticello, you need to be in your tornado safe place immediately. So you've got plenty of lead time. Folks in Warren don't have as much, considering the storm is right on top of you. But Wilmar and Monticello, you have a little bit more lead time here with the storm system. And again, dangerous if you know people traveling along highways 63 and 425. Let them know that, hey, this storm is on its way.
All right, thanks, Brian. Well, again, the time is just now past 10 o'clock, and maybe a lot of you are maybe getting ready to tune into NBC 10 News at 10. But of course, this tornado warning is kind of taking priority. So we probably have a new round of new viewers. So we're going to be repeating a lot of information that we have said already to folks who have been tuning in. Just in case if you're just now tuning in, we're going to let you know what is going on. We did have a tornado warning issued around 9:30, 9:35 off towards our west. That was the first tornado warning. In fact, you can see the last of that little polygon right here just outside of Warren. And then we have a new one that did get extended until 10:45. So the small one goes for another at least 15 minutes, and then this one continues until 10:45. And this one includes the areas of Warren, Wilmar, and Monticello as it heads into Drew County. You could see that right along the edge here, that is the edge of Bradley County, and then of course it goes outside of our viewing area, but then we enter Drew County. So again, we're going to continue to stay on this as long as this storm does continue to include Drew County. So again, here's that reflectivity map, and you can just see it's been swathed in heavy rainfall, maybe even some hail as well. So this is definitely not a scenario where you want to be outside, because again, you're not going to see anything, not only because of the rainfall, but of course because it is dark outside. So switching back to storm relative velocity here, again, we're seeing a little bit more of those reds and greens kind of mixed together, especially right along this first warning polygon. I'm going to go ahead and circle it for you so you can see what I'm talking about here. When you start to see some of those greens and reds kind of mixing together, that may be some kind of indication of maybe some kind of circulation or rotation. Again, this is radar indicated. This is not a confirmed tornado, but it did really pique the interest of the National Weather Service in Little Rock, which is the reason why that they did issue it. Now, we kind of saw it a little bit interesting when this storm system was in Ouachita County, only as a severe thunderstorm warning. But it looked a little bit looser then, but it started to tighten just a little bit. So that's the reason why they decided to issue that first tornado warning. And ever since, it's been kind of going back and forth, kind of just relatively keeping that reds and those greens kind of together, which is the reason why they are continuing to keep these tornado warnings in place. So there's that little area that we are watching right now, again, just located just to the north of Warren, but it is just to the west or the southwest of 63. So if you know anyone that's on 63, or if you yourself are on 63, just make sure that you are staying off the roads. Maybe pull over into a gas station or maybe a grocery store parking lot and wait for this to pass over.
Get out of the parking lot.
Yeah,
Make sure you're in the building, though.
Yes, that is true. Yes, thank you for correcting me. Switching back to just velocity, you can see a little bit of that brighter green color and a little bit of red, but still indications of some possible rotation. So switching back to shear real quick, we can still see that it is an area of some strong winds by indication of this brighter color of green that you do see here. And again, wind shear is just how the winds are changing different directions as you go a little bit higher in the atmosphere. They're still remaining relatively strong, and even straight winds as strong as this can cause some significant damage, including trees down and power lines down. So even though this is radar indicated tornado, just make sure that you are still in your safe places. Switching back to reflectivity real quick, again, you can just see how heavy the rainfall is, stretching from Bradley County across 63, even into Drew County, starting to see a little bit more of those purples and reds, maybe seeing a little bit more rain and hail mix. Again, this does include the Warren, Wilmar, and Monticello communities. Again, you are just downwind of the actual area of rotation that they have interest in. So just make sure that you are preparing now and getting into your safe spots.
All right, 10:05, and again, Isabel Albritton is standing by to hopefully bring you some of the day's top headlines for NBC 10 News at 10. We hope to get to her by 10:30, but that would include this warning being canceled or the storm moving out of our area in that time frame. And again, as long as the warning's here, we're going to stay here as well. The warning itself does start to kind of ooze out of the ArcLMS, out of our technical viewing area. If you've been joining us today, we've kind of explained how a lot of these counties, as you move into Cleveland and Lincoln counties, that's really more the Little Rock market. And but as you move farther south and east, Bradley and Drew counties are kind of our cutoff here. And these storms have been kind of dancing right along the northern edges of our viewing area through the course of the day. In fact, this possible tornado will probably dodge back out into southeastern Cleveland County before moving back into northwestern Drew County here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So it's going to impact areas like the Orlando community and the Rye communities, similar areas that were impacted by the previous tornado warning, a tornado-warned storm that eventually did drop a confirmed tornado in Lincoln County a little bit later in its life cycle. Again, that's in southeastern Arkansas, so for our Louisiana viewers who are a little bit confused, that's what's going on. Again, the shear marker shows any kind of strong winds. Sometimes when you have a little bit more of an S signature with these winds, it usually indicates more of the twisting into possible straight line, the rotation indicated with tornadoes. When you start seeing these more straight lines, these just kind of columns, that's again more of a straight line wind signature. That's what we're really kind of picking up now with this storm as it moves into these areas. Still has areas of rotation west of Highway 63, and again, that should be entering portions of southwestern, actually it is in the southeast southeastern Cleveland County. So there's our area of rotation. Again, that's actually going to carry well to the north and west of Monticello. But as you move to the tail end of this storm, I don't want folks to just fall asleep on the fact that, yeah, you have the possible tornado west of 63, but you stretch south from Warren eastward toward Wilmar and into western sections of Drew County. There's still the reds and greens combining together. There's still some twisting of the winds, despite the fact that this looks to be more of a significant damaging wind hazard, at least here in the short term. To get us a little bit more of a broad scale reset, I do want to kind of zoom back out and go back over to the National Weather Service and Shreveport's radar and continue to obviously draw attention to some of the storms that we have going on across eastern sections of Texas. We're not done yet with the severe weather threat in these areas. Now, I will say that the threat is evolving now into more of a damaging wind hail threat as you kind of start seeing the more linear nature. We have a cold front advancing through, so as that cold front's picking up these storms, they are all kind of hopping in line and providing that more linear base. Now, could we see some inflow that provides a notch and a twisting of the winds and provide a brief tornado along this line? That's certainly possible, especially here in the short term while we aren't in a linear fashion. But as you move later on into the night, the damaging wind threat will likely evolve into being the more significant threat out of these storms. Not to say that the severe threat should also, with time, continue to decrease. And we've also seen a general decrease in the overall number of warnings that have been issued in our area. But it's still going to be a late night for a lot of folks of storm watching and keeping an eye on the radar, especially for those in the watch area. Again, the shear marker showing the strongest winds, but back over to the storm relative velocities. Again, this is kind of gauging the winds as a storm is moving. So it's also taking that storm's motion into account to kind of counterbalance that. And you can see the bolder, brighter greens that are still in place that are producing this damaging wind threat as it now moves into far northwestern sections of Drew County. If you're in Monticello, you're probably getting some rain, rather moderate rain, maybe even some heavier rain, and so the winds are probably picking up. You are under a tornado warning, but the damaging wind potential is probably the more threatening thing, at least for folks in Monticello currently. And then as you move along 425 towards Star City and a lot of those surrounding roadways, extra caution, be in your safe place, and wait for this storm to pass your area.
Yeah, and it looks like now they're slowly trimming it back just a little bit. Again, that smaller polygon, that is the warning that continues until 10:15, so about another 5 minutes. And of course, the bigger one continues for at least another 30 minutes or so. That one goes until 10:45. So again, this is the one that we're watching right now, this bigger polygon that you do see right here. And of course, it does include the northeastern corner of Bradley County, but it also includes a good portion of northern and the northwestern corner of Drew counties. So again, Warren is still under this warning, and so is Monticello. So again, continue to stay in your safe places until you're given the all clear. Again, we're just waiting on this little polygon here to kind of expire. I would say those areas are in pretty good shape right now because the main focus is starting to cross more into the Warren area and of course into Drew County. So you can see Highway 63 and even Highway 425 getting in on some of that very heavy rainfall, maybe even some hail mixed in there. So travel conditions are not going to be the most ideal, but of course, you know, with any tornado warning, you want to stay off the roadways. You want to be in a safe place, a good structure. An interior room with no windows or a bathroom with no windows would be the best place. So switching over real quick, we'll go ahead and take a look at some of our radar products. Again, some of you may just be now tuning in, maybe wanting to see what's going on NBC 10 News at 10. So we're going to continue to track this just a little bit longer until the warning has expired or it lifts out of our viewing area. Here is the Shear product. And again, Shear is how the winds change at different levels in the atmosphere. And like Jared was mentioning, it's looking more like a straight line wind event at this point. You can see that it looks very linear at this point. But either way, these winds can be very, very strong and powerful enough to knock down trees and power lines, so you want to stay in your safe place.
Let me update you on that too, Lexi.
All right, go ahead.
The National Weather Service in Little Rock's kind of eyeballing this as a scenario where the main updraft of that storm, which is in southeastern Cleveland County, and it's still there, is kind of being overtaken by the rear flank downdraft, which that's a super weather term in terms of the storm.
Just think of it as the backside of a supercell.
Right, and it's kind of on the southern flank where we're seeing the damaging wind scenario farther southward. And the general thought process is that the storm is cycling and that the southern edge where we're seeing the reds and greens come together east of Warren could be a kind of a new updraft forming.
Yeah, right there, you mean?
Yeah, that's where they're looking at maybe that new updraft developing, and that could be where the biggest tornado threat is in the short term, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, which brings Monticello back into the equation. That's why you folks needed to be in your safe place, because you were in the warning anyway.
425 as well. Avoid travel on 425. Yes, so that little area that I circled there, that's the area that he was talking about, kind of seeing those reds and greens kind of really coming together. There is a little bit of a one just around 63 as well, just to the north of Warren, but it's not looking as impressive as what we did see a few minutes ago. This
the new
one
update,
be the main concern,
The new update from the Weather Service says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 9 miles north of Warren, moving east at 40. Another area of rotation being monitored farther south toward Wilmar, headed toward Monticello. So again, it's two areas of rotation, two possible tornadoes within the same warning polygon. So if you're in those areas, be in your safe place now. And we're also still watching a storm that is starting to take more of a supercellular structure, at least here in the short term, in northern Bienville Parish. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not even severe, but that's just kind of a reminder that we do have other storms in the area that could also become severe at points.
Yeah, so I kept the two circles up to pull up the reflectivity. And yeah, you can see that not the best time to be outdoors. I mean, you could just see that heavy rainfall as indicated by those reds and oranges that you do see on your screen. So those are the two areas that, like Jared was mentioning, have really kind of piqued the interest of the National Weather Service in Little Rock. So again, we're going to continue to stay on this warning as long as it is in our viewing area. Again, I would say folks in Monticello, now would be the time to really get into your safe spots and stay there until you're given the all clear.
Yeah, that's right, Lexi. And again, we've been tracking this storm for a while now, and it's been what we say cycling. It's storms can take on new updrafts. They can breathe in and out, essentially, and the way that the winds work. And that's kind of why this area of this tornado warning at least was expanded, because as of now, you can see where those two areas of circle areas of concern are, at least. It's probably hard to see, though, on this conventional reflectivity. But if you pull up the storm relative velocity here, you can see why we're talking about this. So again, it's where those reds and those greens are starting to get a little bit tighter with each other, and especially for folks along the Highway 63 corridor. And this is what the National Weather Service was talking about right over the Wilmar communities. That's where one of the areas, at least of concern that we're watching here, is starting to get a little bit more organized. So if you know folks in the Wilmar area, hopefully they've had time to get into their tornado safe place. Damaging straight line winds certainly going to be an issue with this. And Monticello, you folks needed to be in your tornado safe place. You still have time, though, as the storm is still west of you, but moving quickly towards the north and east. So again, folks in Monticello, possible tornado, one could form at any time, at least, as they were saying that the storm is kind of feeding off of its southern updraft as opposed to its northern one. So you can see that this area, there's still some reds and greens that are pretty close to each other. That being said, though, this area of rotation looking a little bit less organized. But nonetheless, it's an impressive and dangerous storm that is moving now into mostly Drew County here as it starts to work its way out of Bradley County, that area of circulation. But there we go. We just got another update here. And yeah, it's still showing pretty healthy signatures here. So that's just south of the Wilmar community. I'm going to zoom in a little bit further, even closer, kind of get some of these street names here. But again, there's the Tennessee community, which is just west of Monticello. And if this area of rotation continues to hold together, generally Monticello, it'll pass very close to Monticello.
Yeah, and Brian, so let me stop you right there. If you've got a child or a student on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Monticello, UAM is on the southern edge of town, and this storm is going to move toward the southern edge of town. It's a heavily wooded area, and so again, if you have a family member or a child or a niece or nephew, grandchild on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Monticello, you may want to give them a call, and if they're in a second floor dorm or something like that, tell them to go make friends, socially distant if they can, with some friends on the first floor. Get somewhere safe and ride this storm out. You don't want to be in an elevated dorm room or something like that at this time.
So yeah, a very good point Jared just made there. Again, you can see on the southern edges of Monticello, our wind shear product here is showing a pretty strong signature return here. So mainly along southern, and I would say even just a good chunk of Monticello proper here will experience at least some very, very strong winds, if not a possible tornado. Again, you can see this area going to be coming in. Wilmar community is already feeling it and has been. And kind of back this out a little bit, you're seeing a little bit less impressive shear off towards the north. So it seems that this southernmost one is kind of taking more of the ingredients that are present to produce this kind of weather here. And it's not surprising considering that this is the southernmost area of rotation and it's feeding off of those ingredients in the surrounding environment that still have not been acted on yet. So again, in Monticello, you guys are about to get some very, very strong winds at the very least. You can see there's another update on our shear marker here, and you can see pretty strong winds, and we're almost getting some points where
that rotation is now south of State Highway 4, which goes west out of Monticello, between Old Warren Road, the Alice community or Aulis community, Tennessee, and then into Monticello. Those are your areas. Again, the road that you're looking at right now, just for your reference, Brian, Monticello to Wilmar, that's State Highway 4.
Right here.
And so that is just south of 4, and we'll be crossing 425 pretty much in Monticello. This is going to move very, very close to town. Like I said, UAM, downtown Monticello, 425 Highway 4, be in your safe place. Get off the roads if you can, too.
Yeah, and just kind of another thing, too, people might be, getting excited seeing the storm coming in. It's dark outside. This circulation is rain-wrapped. Certainly a dangerous situation. You're not going to be able to get pictures or anything at this point. So we encourage people to, put themselves in safety. Again, there's a lot of trees in this area. So even if a tornado doesn't form necessarily, you still get those damaging straight-line winds. It can still bring trees down in this area and can still cause issues. So, but what we were seeing on this latest update is a tightening of this area just to the west and just south of Monticello here. But, I mean, on its current trajectory, it's going to pretty much run right over Monticello proper here. So again, folks need to be in their tornado safe place in Monticello. This area of rotation is barreling down on you as we speak. So hopefully you've had time to get into your tornado safe place. Again, radar kind of matrixing a little bit, but you can still see where some of those hotter reds and greens are that are coming into Monticello at this time. So let's look at the shear button again, and wind shear just tells us that there's pockets of strong winds. Doesn't necessarily tell us what exactly it is in terms of damaging straight line winds or a possible tornado, but nonetheless it's pinging pretty high values. So I would imagine the winds are probably picking up pretty strongly now here in Monticello as this area of rotation starts to work through. Nonetheless, this whole storm in general has very strong winds all along it, and still going north into Drew County along Highway 425. That's where some of those higher winds are going to be concentrated. So again, if you're getting the warnings and you're in Drew County especially, or if you're traveling along Highway 425, make sure you're letting your friends, family, loved ones know that dangerous storm is heading your way.
Yep, and for points of reference, if you have friends or family that are stuck on 425, you're on a phone with somebody and they're going, I don't know where to stop. Well, if they're 425 going south into town, there's a Walmart on your right. There's several gas stations. I know there's a Citgo there. There's a Walgreens on the left side as you move farther south into town. There's a lot of areas that are either still open or are open 24 hours that you can kind of jump off into, even if it's a fast food restaurant or something like that. It's better than your car. So, again, if you're in these areas along 425, you've got seconds to move move. Like I said, especially south of town, and that's going to be the University of Arkansas Monticello, which again is south and kind of generally just west of town. If you're driving south, it's there on your right, or at least a good bulk of campus is. So again, if you're in these areas, you want to be in your safe place now. Make a phone call to family members on the campus of UAM. I'm not sure if the UAM's on spring break or was on spring break, but obviously there's probably somebody on campus, so let them know what's going on. Heavy rain continues to wrap in on any edges of this storm. If there's a tornado developing, it's just to the west of town, and notice all of the rain now east of town. You're not going to see anything. It's not going to happen, and nor do we want you to even try to take pictures or anything like that. And in fact, on top of that, you're running into all of these lightning strikes too. So you definitely don't want to be outside. If the tornado doesn't get you, then the lightning creates a completely different problem. And there's also the possibility maybe of some hail with this storm. So you don't want to run into that headache either. And no pun intended. But there's our circulation again south of Highway 4 moving northeast toward Monticello. Really that circulation hasn't moved much in the last radar scan, but still very much there. Now it looks like it's right on Highway 425. That would be moving right over UAM, or at least in the general vicinity. And you can see West Gain Street and the old Warren Road here. Here's the College Heights. So again, you get south of town and you get into the College Heights area, Old Dermott Road, and there's the Killen community. Rose Hills up here on the northern edge of town. So again, this is the area we're looking at. This is Monticello proper right here. So right in the middle of town, 425, as I mentioned, State Highway 4. All of the stronger tornadic signatures is now south of Highway 4 in these areas. Still seeing the damaging wind potential pretty much parallel to Highway 425 right now in this area. As the tornado warning continues. But clearly, this storm will be moving now into relatively rural sections of northeastern Drew County. One of the more active areas in terms of tornadic activity and tornado warnings that we've seen so far this season. Not that necessarily there's any rhyme or reason to any of that, because again, every tornado warning is different, but and every severe weather setup is different. But obviously something to note. New severe thunderstorm warning out. This one is out for portions of northern Union Parish. Southern Union County does not include El Dorado. Do you folks, Brian or Lexi, do y'all have the information on this? I'm assuming
yes.
60-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
And quarter-sized hail.
And quarter-sized hail. Yeah, pretty menacing-looking storm. Does that have the tornado tag on it?
Taking a look here, let me scroll back up.
I don't think it, I wouldn't see why it would.
It doesn't look like it, no.
Okay. So the National Weather Service sometimes will attach kind of a side note to severe thunderstorm warnings, and will say a tornado is possible with this storm, or this storm has exhibited signs of rotation at times. This storm's kind of riding along the front, looks like, or at least close to it.
It's not really rotating too much.
Yeah, it looks to be kind of all linear, but moving east. El Dorado, again, you're not in this warning, but Junction City is, and folks along 167 south of town. So, again, if you're traveling the roadways, don't, and try to get somewhere and stay put until these storms clear your area. Back, obviously, to the more pressing matter, which is the active tornado warning that is in effect across portions of Drew County. And you can see that as this storm continues to move east, the circulation has become a little bit broader in its overall appearance. The shear swath still shows the pockets of gusty to potentially damaging winds in this area. But now this storm has gotten east of Monticello. For folks in Monticello, you don't want to let your guard down. You don't want to come out of your safe place yet, because you're probably running into some gusty winds. There's still the outside chance of an isolated tornado. So again, go ahead and hang out and be there until the all clear can be sounded.
Yeah, so again, so the time is coming up on just about 4 minutes till 10:30. I know a lot of folks may have tuned in to NBC 10 to see NBC 10 News at 10, but of course we're taking up a lot of that time because of this tornado warning. Actually, in one previous that was issued for Calhoun and Bradley counties around 9:30, but that one has expired since then. So we're just mainly focusing on the one here in northern and northwestern portions of Drew County. So you may notice that polygon line kind of really follows follows the county line between Bradley and Drew County. So Bradley County is now in the clear. So the Warren area, you guys are good to go. But you're still encountering plenty of heavy rainfall, as you can see here by those reds and oranges, maybe even a little bit of hail, as well as indicated by those reflectivity values that you do see on your screen. So again, it's just this area that the red flashing polygon is surrounding that we have concerns about. Again, this does include the Monticello area and of course portions of 425. So anyone traveling along that road needs to pull over and get inside until you are given the all clear. So again, this is the only active tornado warning that we are currently paying attention to at this time. Again, only includes Drew County at this point, and maybe even includes portions of 278 as well. Pulling up some of those radar products again, like Jared was mentioning before, it looks like that Velocity product is beginning to look a bit more broader, but either way, we just want to make sure that we continue to stay in our safe spots until we are given the all clear. Kind of zooming in just a little bit, you can still see some of those greens and reds kind of mixing together with one another, especially right over and maybe just now to the north and the northeast of Monticello now. But either way, stay in your safe spots until we're given the all clear. This is the area that we are talking about. I'm going to go ahead and circle it for you as a visualization. You can kind of see those reds and greens kind of mixing with one another, maybe giving some indications of rotation. So again, the warning was issued for radar indicated tornado. This is not a confirmed tornado.
There's your rotation now, east and tightening back up again.
Yeah, it looks like it's tightening back up. Yeah, you're right. So what's looking broad now, the new radar, the refreshing of the radar has shown just a little bit more tightening with this Velocity product. Switching to Shear real quick, we want to see what is going on here. Still showing some little bit of some high values, more looks like a straight line, but either way, we just want to make sure you guys stay in your safe spots. These can still cause some very damaging winds here at the surface
and Lexi, while you're analyzing that, just a quick note from the National Weather Service in Shreveport. They are going to locally extend our tornado watch that's in effect till 11 p.m. The northwestern half, the ArkLaMist, the folks that have been under a tornado watch for most of the day, that tornado watch has now been locally extended, basically meaning the National Weather Service office is opting to extend that till 1 a.m. So it's not adding any additional counties or parishes to that watch, basically saying that watch was going to go to 11. We're going to stretch it out until 1 a.m. just in case for some of these storms that are developing and trying to move southeast along the frontal boundary.
Yes, and they only do that as a precautionary and they're more than welcome to cancel the watches before 1 a.m. if the storms kind of play out that threat for the possibility of tornadoes is not going to be as prominent. But either way, like Jared was mentioning, the current parishes and counties under the control of the National Weather Service, at least, those will continue until 1 a.m. And early on our previous cut-in, about an hour and a half ago, maybe even 2 hours ago, we were seeing a portion, I think it was Ashley and Chico counties and the Carroll parishes who are really under the control of the National Weather Service in Jackson, maybe even Little Rock as well. Those have been extended until 4 a.m. But of course, like we mentioned, they can be canceled early if the threat for the possibility of tornadoes does diminish. So if you're just now tuning in with us, we just now have a tornado warning for Drew County. It was in Bradley County early on, but they have since taken us out of that. So this does include the Wilmar area. Wilmar area, you're just on the right on the line of it, and then of course it does still include the Monticello area. Switching over to relative velocity, looking a little bit broader, but you can still see that mix of green and reds. Again, just moved over the Monticello area, that indication of rotation. Again, when you start to see those reds and those greens kind of mixed together, that's exactly what it is indicating. So now it's just to the north and the northeast of Monticello. But either way, Monticello, please stay in your safe places until the tornado warning is lifted. And also including portions of 425. So anyone traveling on 425 needs to pull over and get inside a building until you're given the all clear. Again, this warning continues until 10:45, so just about another 15 minutes. So we'll continue to stay on this as long as we can. Pulling up the Shear here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Shear product. Again, still seeing a little bit of some possibility of some strong winds here. Again, we can't really tell with the Shear product if it's tornado or a straight line, but either way, strong winds still have the capability of damaging trees and knocking down power lines. And like Jared and Brian were mentioning earlier, especially northern portions of Drew County, very rural and very woodsy, I guess you could say. There's a lot of trees around, so you want to avoid those areas as much as you can.
UAM is one of the biggest timber schools schools in the country for a reason. So, like I said, there's a lot of trees in those areas. So, be aware.
Yeah, this looks like we're still seeing a little bit of a radar refresher. Again, continuing to move that area of interest just to the northeast of Monticello. Actually, zooming out real quick, we'll take a closer look at where the warning is currently at. Again, it's right in the northwestern corner, kind of extends down a little bit, and it goes until just about 278. So there's the county line between Chico and Drew.
It looks like it is becoming more of a damaging wind threat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too when I was continuing to look at this. So pull out the reflectivity here just to kind of see. Yeah. Either way, like we mentioned, we are still seeing pockets of very heavy rainfall stretching across this warning as well. So definitely not the time to be outside. Not only is it dark outside, but you're not going to be able to see anything because everything is going to be rain wrapped, and there might be even a little bit of hail thrown into the mix.
Yeah, thank you, Lexi. So again, the time is now just after 10:30 here, and this warning is set to go till about 10:45. We understand that there is other programming that is currently going on, and we're going to do our best to get you back to that as soon as possible. But in the meantime, we're going to be sticking with you on air. We've been kind of repeating ourselves much of the time through the night tonight. So again, as the storm kind of continues to push east and hopefully transitions to a more damaging wind threat, that's when we'll be able to send you back to that programming. But we will be staying on the air till at least about 10:45 this evening, and as the storm continues to pass. So again, just bear with us. Again, these folks in Drew County, they need this information. So we're going to continue to give it to them as this life-threatening storm continues to move through the area. So again, warning is set to expire at about 10:45, which is about 10 more minutes. So again, we're continuing to track this storm as it moves north.
And while you stay on that storm, just kind of to bring everybody else up to speed that are under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Junction City, Homer, Bernice, Marion, Strong, Huddig, y'all are all under severe thunderstorm warnings. That is a big severe thunderstorm warning. It covers a good chunk of northern Claiborne, northern Union parishes, and a good chunk of about the southeastern half of Union County. Does not include El Dorado, but it does include points just south of El Dorado. So again, damaging wind potential and perhaps some quarter-size hail. Move the cars into the carports and garages. Make sure the batteries are charged and prepare to lose power in the event that this storm knocks down some trees and power lines in your area.
And to kind of build on that too, Isabella Albritton was checking in with energy up into portions of southern Arkansas, and Ouachita County had over 1,000 people out of power at one point. So we are seeing some power outages being reported by these storms. So to kind of build on what Jared was saying, these storms are capable of knocking the power out. And to kind of build on what I was talking about earlier right before I jumped on, looks like the National Weather Service is going to continue this thunderstorm warning, at least as a severe thunderstorm warning. So this storm looking to exhibit more of a damaging straight line wind threat as opposed to a tornadic threat. That's good news in the short term. Still a very dangerous storm though. So once this warning officially expires, that's when we will be given the all clear to send you back to that programming here, as I know it's Saturday Night Live tonight. So again, thank you everybody for being patient with us as we continue to get this information out. But again, tornado warning still in effect technically for the next 10 minutes or so, but we're starting to see some improvements, at least in the nature of this storm, in the sense that it's becoming more of a damaging straight line wind threat, particularly south and west now of Monticello, continue to push eastward into southern and eastern portions of Drew County. I believe that's highway, that was Highway 280, I believe.
I think it was 278, I believe.
278? Okay, I had that backwards. But zoom back out here again. That's where that area potential tornado would be. But again, it's evolving more as a damaging straight line wind threat as these storms kind of line out a little more. Cold front now is starting to catch up with them. So that helps to kind of undercut surface-based activity, at least in the short term. But that being said, still a dangerous storm nonetheless. So this severe thunderstorm warning now includes portions of, I believe, Chico County, or is that, no, that's not Chico County.
No, you're moving into DeShay County at that point. That's going to be outside of our viewing area.
Okay.
And on that note, Brian, I really think that because of the severe thunderstorm warning has kind of overtaken that tornado warning, it looks as though that tornado warning, they may leave that in place at this point, But really, what takes precedence right now is the severe thunderstorm warning, and I really think this storm is not at this point in the immediate short-term future in the next 20 minutes does not look like a tornado is imminent. It looks like this storm is more of a damaging wind potential in this area. Zooming back out again, two now severe thunderstorm warnings in effect: eastern Drew County, portions of Union County, Union Parish, and Bienville Parish. So those are the warnings that we have in place. With that tornado warning now basically kind of on the verge of being canceled or expired because the conditions no longer favor a tornado in that area. You're still going to see the tornado warning at the bottom of your screen, but again, a tornado warning is not necessarily imminent. It's still under a severe thunderstorm warning in a lot of these areas. Be in your safe place, interior portion of your home, away from windows and doors. It's 10:45 outside on a Saturday night. Probably not a whole lot of places to go. Just stay inside, kind of ride this thing out. More linear nature of storms probably bringing a damaging wind threat east. Tornado watch extended to 1 a.m. for much of southern Arkansas and far northeastern Louisiana now under a tornado watch till 4 a.m. Again, the tornado threat should continue to decrease as we work through the next few hours, but again, isolated severe storms will remain possible. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect. We will now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Stay tuned to NBC 10 and Fox 14. We'll keep you updated with the latest through the rest of the night.